Good morning everybody and welcome to a beautiful start to the day. The sun is just starting to come up. There are a few birds chirping and it's going to be a fresh, beautiful morning, hopefully with a little bit of success when it comes to Tandi's cub. My name is Tristan and on camera today I've got Wiem the wildebeest who is rearing to go, as well as hopefully going to bring some luck in finding this little leopard and its cub. Now before we get into any of that, remember that we are coming up to a TV show from the 4th to the 8th of Feb at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that means that you could come and live out your very own safari experience and smell and hear the sounds of the African dawn. And so you just need to go to natgeo.com/safari live for all the rules about the bingo competition. The safari bingo competition should be a fun one, and hopefully there will be one lucky winner that will head out to do their very own safari. Right, now the plan for the morning is we're going to try and go and see if we can find Tandi and cub. I believe someone has already been past the kill. She's not there. The kill is still there, but she is not. So we're going to have a bit of work to do this morning. Maybe if some of you have any idea as to where we should check, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or the YouTube chat if you do have any ideas. We're going to go try and check that den site termite mound thing that everybody has been seeing her at. Maybe the little cub ran that way. So that's going to be the kind of first port of call, and then we're going to do some loops around where that kill is, and then maybe even just sit tight at the kill for a while and see if we can hear anything, and maybe we hear her contact calling, or maybe she comes back towards the kill. The thing is, it might be actually a good sign if she's not at the carcass. It might mean that she's gone and found the cub and she's now just sitting with it somewhere. So that's also a good sign at this stage. But let's go and try and get into the area. Let's not waste too much time sitting here at the beautiful Chelapan, because there's not very much happening here. Just a beautiful sunset. So there's Chelapan there. Not very much. Like I say, there's no birds yet this morning. They're still waking up, so we'll try and kind of wait for them to get up before we come back into this area. Right, now while I head off towards Tandi and cub, and while I try and go and decode the mystery of what has been going on over the last 24 hours, let's head across to the man who was part of the mystery yesterday afternoon, the bearded warrior himself, Scotty D, as he negotiates the bush on foot.
Good morning everyone, and welcome to the bushwalk. I'm teamed up with Herbie, the absolute ninja of a tracker, and looking forward to another morning with his expert skills archer. We're not too sure what to do yet. We need a fresh set of tracks to try and follow, and I'm wishing Tristan all the best of luck with the mystery of Tandi and her cub. There was a vehicle, like Tristan said, at that site a little bit earlier. Absolutely no sign of Tandi just for now. So naturally, all of us are getting a little bit concerned that something may have happened to this cub, but I still think it's too soon to panic. So, teamed up with Davy on camera this morning, and we're actually probably going to head into that same general area of where Tandi has been spending time, in the hope that by being on foot and moving a little bit slower, having our ears unobstructed by any vehicle audio, we may be able to pick up some clues from Mother Nature as to where this leopard and her cub could be. So exciting stuff. Seems like it's going to be a cool morning, at least to start with, a little bit of cloud cover and perfect conditions for a bushwalk. Now, I did spend until about 8 o'clock last night in the area of Tandi with her kill, and basically from the end of the sunrise safari up until about 8 o'clock, so in an hour and a half, she slept, she ate, and she slept again. She didn't seem too concerned. She didn't try and look for the cub again. And then, actually, on the way back to camp, bumped into the Nkuhuma pride. They had all reunited. They were all just moving through this area. And sadly, it sounds like they are probably going to have crossed out of our eastern boundary. Somebody is on their trail. So, that's an update. For us, not really any major plans, but that could change at any moment. Why don't you go and see what Noel's plans are for the morning?
Good morning, everyone. It is a lovely and cool morning. This morning, I am busy trying to look for lions, but from what I've heard so far from one of the other vehicles that are out, they have maybe crossed east into Torchwood. Oh, and by the way, excuse me, I am Noel, and on camera today I have Senzo. Yay! I haven't driven with Senzo in a while, so I'm super excited to be back with our little dream team here. Okay, so now this being said about those lions moving east, there is one set of lion tracks that's mixed in. I'm just going to turn a little bit and we'll see if we can do it. It's mixed in amongst these elephant tracks, and I'm just going to get off quickly so you can see sort of what I'm talking about. So these are the elephant tracks here. Is this one good sense, or do you want me to do this one? This one? Further. Okay, so this is the, excuse me, the elephant tracks, I should say. This one's the back foot. The front foot's just under here. There we go. Now the lion tracks were moving down, but they were underneath and spread out with the rest of these elephant tracks. So I actually think they've moved into the area that's over there. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to carry on down this road and try and loop around and see if we can pick them up again. If we can't pick them up again, we'll come back to where we lost the tracks going into this block and see what we can do. Now, while I'm busy doing a little bit of tracking, let's head on up to the Mara, to Kenya, and say good morning to Taylor, who I believe has a beautiful sunrise that she wants to show you.
Right, good morning everybody. It seems as though we're starting off the way we ended yesterday with a couple of silhouetted animals and a beautiful pink skyline. You may also hear a little hum. It's not a swarm of bees flying overhead, it is a balloon getting ready to take off and soar across the Masai Mara, which is quite cool. Good morning again. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me is Craig. Remember, this is a live and interactive safari, so you can talk to all of us, and I look forward to having some chats with you. Look at it, it's just starting to go up now. That's so cool. This is one of the most amazing things to watch, and for those of you who've never been on a hot air balloon safari, standing right next to it, the noise is actually quite deafening. But I thought we should have a quick look and actually see the process of a balloon going up. We always see them floating across the sky, but we don't often get to see, well, we do, but unfortunately you guys don't often get to see what's going on. And all the animals are around, they don't mind it going up. In fact, there's lots of zebra, lots of topi, tommies, all these different types of animals that are not perturbed one little bit by that balloon going up. Isn't that beautiful? Now it goes quiet. Very, very quiet. Oh, I'm so excited for everybody that's going to experience a hot air balloon safari. It really is something that you have to add to your bucket list. Perhaps we'll see it in a minute, but let's keep driving. We'll drive past it and inspect and see what's going on. Because I don't know what we're going to be doing today. We're going to try and go and look for the Black Rock Pride, but that'll only be later on in the show because we still have to get down to that area. So we might do a very quick sweep and see if we can't find the Fast Five, the 5 cheetah boys. I don't know where they were yesterday. I think they were around the Hamerkop area somewhere. Maybe we get lucky and we find them this morning. So we're going to take this turn over here. Bye everybody, going on a hot air balloon safari. Enjoy. So epic. Oh, that's amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I love it. Right, so we're going to keep heading south-ish, and hopefully we'll find one of the big cats that we often see out here in the Masai Mara. But Rolf is also on drive this morning in the triangle. Let's go and see how he's doing.
Good morning everybody, and welcome to the Sunrise Safari here in the Mara Triangle. We're on the other side of the river to Taylor, and my name is Rolf Kirsten, and on the camera we've got my trusty wingman Archie. Morning Archie. Please don't forget to join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your questions and your comments because we'd love for you to be in the Last night we had a major thunderstorm. There was a lot of rain. I can't tell you exactly how much, but I can tell you that it was quite impressive. A real downpour, and so this morning we're going to be a little bit careful with the roads that we take because we might get stuck, and yesterday there was a little bit of getting stuck on the other side of the river, so I don't want to push my luck too much, but this morning so we're going to just stay to the main roads a little bit and see what we can find around there. However, I am going to head towards the river crossings, and maybe we'll see if the hippos and the crocodiles appreciate a little bit of extra water. So join us as we go on that road of discovery down towards the Tanzanian border and looking at the river crossings as we go. So it's been a beautiful sunrise. We're looking at about 14 degrees Celsius, about 54 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment. So it's rather cool after that heavy downpour last night. There are still quite a lot of clouds around, but it is making for a very colourful morning, I must say. It's going to be beautiful golden light as that sun starts to come up. It's still a little bit before sunrise. Now, Daniel, thanks for your question. You want to know if anyone can see any animals from up in the balloon. Daniel, yes, you can. And it's obviously the bigger animals are much easier to see, like the elephants and buffalo. But you can see animals like hippos and even lions. And there was an amazing sighting. I can't remember how long ago it was, but the guys actually watched a lion kill unfold from the air. So, Daniel, yes, it's all possible, and it depends on the pilot, but there are some very skilled pilots that can actually make you tip just along the top of the grass over the plains, and then sometimes they take you just over the trees. So you see that hot air balloon at the moment is actually quite low. But they do sort of go up and down depending on the wind, and it can be really exciting because you can actually get quite close to the animals. When they go over the river, you can quite clearly see the hippos and the crocodiles as well. And so it is an absolutely amazing experience. Okay, everyone, I'm going to start up and head down towards the river, and as we watch that beautiful sight of the hot air balloon floating over the Mara River, let's head you on back down south to South Africa, and Tristan, who's on the search for one of our beautiful rosetted cats.
Well, I am on the search, Ralph, because I'm sure that Thandi has got many people worried with the fact that she was calling yesterday afternoon looking for her little cub. So for those of you that don't know what's been going on and don't know who Thandi is, I'll just do a quick recap of what's been happening. So Thandi is a female leopard that has been having a den on, well, she's had a den on Djuma now over the past 3 months, and she's got a little cub. And this little cub has been kind of fallen into everybody's hearts, and everybody kind of loves this little thing, and it moves around all over the place, and it's quite a cute little cheeky cub, and it just kind of does its own thing for a lot of the time. Now, yesterday morning we came in, we had a beautiful sighting of her and the cub in this marula tree with a kill and a carcass, and everything was very nice, and we were extremely happy to be spending time with her. But then the afternoon came, and we figured out that lions in the form of 3 of the Angama pride females had moved past, as well as a hyena that had been hanging around. And when we came back in the afternoon, there was no sign of this little cub, and Thandi was calling incessantly during the course of the sighting, and no sign. So we're a bit worried as to where the cub could be. There was a stage where Thandi left the tree, the cub was still in the tree, and when she returned there was no sign, and it's believed, or they think, that maybe just the cub came down. The hyena also wasn't here, so it's possible that that hyena could have grabbed the cub. I don't think so though, because there would have been some sort of noise that would have taken place, and that would have alerted Thandi, and she would have come flying back to this area to come and save her cub. So I don't think that's possible. I think more what's happened is maybe Thandi just can't find her because the little one came down and maybe panicked and ran into an area a little bit further away, and it doesn't really respond to mom much. When mom sits and calls for long periods of time, Thandi often just sits there and kind of, well, calls and calls and calls, and the little one just sits and doesn't really come towards her at all. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. She's definitely not here at the moment. It's this big tree in front where all the carcasses are. So you can see there's 2 different carcasses. We've got the waterbuck over here, and then on that side the duiker. So she's abandoned this for now, but there could be 2 reasons for this. One could be the fact that she knows there's danger around, and she's now moved the cub somewhere safer and just decided she's going to leave this. The second thing could be that she needs water. After being here for 4 days, she needs to now start to try and find water, and maybe she just thought, I'm going to take my cub and hide it somewhere, get some water, and then I'll come back to this a little bit later. The lions have been moving around in this area, and so it's a bit of a sort of tough one as to what's going on. Now, Cindy, you say if anyone can find Thandi and cub, it would be myself and Veer. Wiem? Well, I think Viem's got better eyes than I do. He tends to spot them a lot quicker than I do. So with Wiem on board, I think we're going to be lucky. Hopefully we will find the two of them. And like I say, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a bit of moving around in this area. Tandy yesterday, she moved a lot to the south, so I'll go and check down there where there was a termite mound that she sat on as well as a tree. And then we'll just kind of amble our way around, try and check for some tracks, see what we can find. The thing is that I haven't found any tracks so far coming out on Drakensberg Road, and there seems to be nothing coming out on Cheetah Cut Line, which means that she's probably still inside this block somewhere, and maybe she's just lying with the cub having a very relaxed morning, and we'll find her somewhere under one of these trees. So we're going to try and solve the mystery, and while we do that, we're going to, I think, send you back to Taylor McCurdy. I might have missed that altogether, but apparently there's some ants or something like that, but whoever it is, it'll be very cool, I'm sure.
Shame. It's the worst when you don't know who you're linking to. It always feels a bit awkward. Sorry about that, Trist. We also kind of hot-legging it into an area where we've got our own mystery to try and solve. Not as important as Tristan's mystery, but it seems like the tracks of the Nkuhuma Pride have come back into Djuma, and we're making our way into an area kind of ahead of where those tracks are heading, in the hope that we're going to intercept either some fresh tracks or the animals themselves. So exciting stuff. There's been a little bit of a twist in the tail with regards to what the lions are getting up to, and it sounds like there's also a male lion that's been moving through Djuma last night, possibly trying to catch up with that rest of the pride. It could be the male Nena that was actually mating with Amber Eyes. Amber Eyes hasn't been seen with the Nkuhuma Pride for quite some time now, so who knows, maybe they've all reunited with them. So some exciting prospects. And like I said, we've got some ground to cover, so we are moving quite quickly, just sticking to the road now, path of least resistance, and we're going to continue moving as swiftly and safely as we can into the area where we'll hopefully find these tracks. You, on the other hand, will be moving swiftly all the way back to Kenya to join Ralph.
Thanks everyone, and look at this, very exciting. We're watching a couple of Hamerkops just going about their business, doing a bit of mating. That was wonderful. We actually stopped to watch some elephants here just crossing the road. You're going to see them enter the frame now, and so the Hamerkops were a little bit of a sideshow there, but until they started doing something very exciting. There come the elephants now, disturbing them. We are quite near to where the Hamerkops are nesting, just near to the bridge, which is over the little, well, quite a big lugger, I should say, but a little stream that falls part of that very large lugger. And it's just a beautiful scene as these elephants are crossing the main road with that color, which is undescribable. And I hope that the video is doing that color justice, because it is very beautiful here as we sit watching the elephants walking directly towards that hot air balloon with the Hamerkops being disturbed. But I'm sure they can find some space just down into the lugger where they are building their nest. I'm going to go and catch up with them in a minute. I hope that they start building there once again. You know that Hamerkops can build many nests. They don't necessarily need to stay in it when they have completed it, because they do almost seem to have a home and then a couple of holiday homes as well. Now, H. Macy, you're saying that you don't think that you've seen birds mating before? Yes, well, it's quite a fleeting affair. It doesn't really last long. It's normally just a bit of noise that they make, and it's over very quickly. But yeah, I don't know what to really say, if it's an amazing thing to watch or what I should say, but glad that we've seen it this morning, and it does remind us that this is a monogamous pair, that they are building their nest just literally about 100 meters from where we are at the moment. So this is well into their little zone. but they can quite easily go through a routine in the morning where they might just do a bit of nest building in the morning, and then during the midday they go off and try to catch some frogs and tadpoles and fish in the water. So they suspend their building for a while, and then they might return to build again in the later afternoon. Now, I wonder if this is synchronized movement, just re-establishment of their little bonds. Quite often you see that with the crowned cranes as well, almost walking in unison, pecking their heads down towards the ground in unison as well. Just a real establishment of that bond between the pair, because they are going to be raising their chicks as well. So very important for them to have a very strong bond. There comes the sun, beautiful morning, overlooking the Mara Triangle. Excellent start to the day, I would say. That is very, very pretty. And with the clouds around, it does definitely make for very nice colors and contrasts. And it's forever changing, very quick to change as well, because as that sun starts to get up, it does move behind the clouds and it pokes through in different ways. But that is stunning. Wow. Wouldn't have thought that that was what we were going to see this morning when it was pouring with rain at the end of yesterday. There's a lot of streams that are now sort of swelling and really pushing water through them. So that swampy area towards the Mara River where I was yesterday afternoon, pretty much a no-go zone this morning until we establish how much water exactly is filling in there. But it would be silly for me to even attempt it now. I think we'll possibly sink a second vehicle in 2 days if I had to do that. And would have to call for the rescue teams to come out and help me. And so as we watch that sun going up, disappearing behind the clouds, I am going to start up shortly and move on down towards the river, maybe stop at the Hamerkop nest. But while I'm doing that, let's head you on down south to Tristan once more. And he's got one of my favorite animals in the world.
Well, I think it's not one of your favorites. I think it is your very most favorite, if that is even English. I don't even know what I just said, but I know Ralph absolutely loves the hyenas. And you can see they're having a really good nap. There are two of them here. So one is lying very close to us, and the other one is hidden behind a bit of thicket at the back there. It's actually very difficult to see it. You can just see the white of its tummy and one of the ears poking out through the bush. Now, these guys are not very far from the carcass. They're a little bit south of where the carcass is in the tree, but what interests me is why they would be lying here. Generally, hyenas, when they are lying underneath a carcass or around a carcass when it's been hoisted, is that they lie very close to the tree, so they sit very close in case something drops that they can run in and try and grab it. But as you can see, these two are just very sort of stationary. They're not anywhere near there. And I wonder if maybe, just maybe, Tundi hasn't moved further south and is in somewhere close by to us where we are here, and that's why they're lying in this area. It's an interesting kind of thing. I don't really know why they would be here. I would have thought that they might have gone somewhere, or would have gone closer to where the carcass is. We're probably about 50-60 meters away from where that marula tree is. It's right over my right hand shoulder at the moment. In the distance there you can see the big tall knobthorn, which is that one over there is the knobthorn, and behind that is the marula tree where the carcass is. So they've actually moved quite far away, which is interesting. So we're going to try and check around here. This is all the areas that Tundi was walking yesterday, where she was looking, going up termite mounds, doing all of those kind of things. So we're going to check all of the termite mounds. We'll check some of the trees here, and then we're going to go to where that older den site is, or if we can call it an older den site, and we're going to try and see if maybe she's gone all the way that way. I'd be very surprised if she's gone there. One, because no tracks have have been found going out of this block, firstly, and secondly, lions have been all over the place. So I think she would have just tried to hunker down inside you. But we'll try and see what we can do. And while we do that, let's send you this time to the real Taylor McCurdy, who I don't know what she's doing in the Masai Mara, but generally with Taylor Mac, it is entertaining. And, well, I believe it's been raining, so hopefully she'll steer clear of the mud this morning.
Right, we're still searching for the cheetah. No luck just yet. Craig and I are plotting as to where they could be. We're checking their favorite spots, but while we search for them, I have a very funny story to tell you. Oh my goodness, last night, the drama that unfolded in Craig and our room. Now, we're staying at Camp Olasheki, which is beautiful, and they have massive, sort of kind of like luxury tents, and they've got 2 beds with mosquito nets. Now, this is very important. So, Craig in one, I'm in the other, go fast asleep. The next minute, something is making me wake up, and I don't know what it is. It's about 11, 12 o'clock at night, and as I'm sitting up, I see the mosquito net on Craig's side moving, and then I hear, hey, get out, get off of me, and shouting. And I'm just going, Craig, what's got you, Craig? And he's sitting on the edge of his bed, and it looked like he was holding something, and fighting and kicking and screaming, and the bedside table falls over. Then the lamp is thrown across the room. So struggling to find switches to turn lights on, because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to run and open the door. What's got in? What is attacking Craig? Because he's shouting, get off of me. Anyways, we find these light switches, we turn everything on. I think Craig was still half asleep. I think he was actually dreaming. It wasn't anything. I think what had happened is that the lamp had somehow fallen onto him, and the mosquito net was then covering them, and he just thought he'd fight it. I've never seen somebody kung fu kick and punch so hard in my entire life while being tangled up in the mosquito net. So he kind of looked a little bit like a mummy. So that was quite funny. So once I realized that there was no threat though, I couldn't go back to sleep because I was just giggling the whole time, going, what was going on? Either there was a leopard or something in the room, and I was really going, how are we going to get this thing out? Now we're in trouble. Like, are we going to chase it back towards the door? Anyways, it was really funny though. I was in stitches giggling, and Craig doesn't remember much at all, but yeah, he was definitely shouting, hey, get out of here. Something had got him. I wish there were cameras. I feel like we need to have cameras around us 24/7. Okay, now Craig, now we need to figure out which way we're going to go for the cheetah. I think we've had them many times here, and I don't know where they were yesterday. Everyone that I sort of asked didn't quite know where they were, and they kept saying that everybody said that we had seen them. Okay, I assume there's some gremlins attacking me because my communication with Final Control is disappearing, but I think Kirsten said that I'm going to send you across to Ralph just while I get through this little dip, and hopefully on the other side there'll be some spotted cats.
Thanks, Taylor. And yeah, as we've said before, everyone, there can be a little bit of problems with signal sometimes over the river, but nonetheless, we've followed this pair of Hamerkops back to their nest, well, the half-built nest, but they've been hard at work already, picking up a little pieces of reeds and bringing it back to the nest, and it looks like this might be the female that has remained, and the male is flying backwards and forwards, bringing her building material. So he's bringing it and she's deciding where to put it, and it looks like they're building the chamber part of the nest now. Very elaborate nest builders are the Hamerkops, and they will build a huge structure with only a small chamber actually on the inside where they nest, but they'll have a couple of false entrances as well, and a false chamber, and that's obviously to put predators off, such as birds of prey and also some snakes, that once they come in and have a look and they see that that false entrance with its false chamber is empty, they think that nobody's home. Meanwhile, the Hamerkops are quite happily carrying on safely in their real chamber. Now they'll build this chamber and then they do line it with mud, and then they start to pile a lot of reeds, more and more and more. So the actual structure is massive, but as I say, the chamber then that they actually live in is quite small. And they might build a few of these structures, and they don't necessarily accommodate them. They can just then use them as they move between. So it's normally around water where they have a very good food source, as well as lots of mud and reed that they use for the nesting material itself. And once it is built, with it being such a large structure, there are a lot of birds that can come and use it as their own nesting site, some of them nesting on top of it, some of them using the false entrances and actually then making a nest. And so it is absolutely amazing. Now, there is a lot of myths and legends around the Hamerkop, and among certain African tribes, and the ones that I know in particular, the Zulus and the Xhosas in southern Africa, they believe that the Hamerkop is the lightning bird. It manifests itself through lightning, and it becomes a small figure that can be slightly mean and nasty to these African tribes. So it is not a particularly good myth or legend that these local people have about the Hamerkop, but very much related to rain and lightning and big thunderstorms, etc. So well, with us having that huge thunderstorm last night, and with a lot of rain coming down, it's quite apt that we are sitting now with the Hamerkops. Now, Anna-Marie, you'd like to know how big could this nest be when it's done? Well, you see there in the fork of that tree, they've just started the base of it, and they've still got a long way to go. That is going to be probably about a yard higher than what it is at the moment. And as I say, then that chamber that they have is actually quite small in comparison to the greater structure of the entire nest. So this is still a very new one. Right, everybody, it seems that they've flown off, obviously off to get some more material. We'll wait here and see if they return. While we do that, let's send you all the way back down to Noel, who's with one of my favorite large elephants.
Hello, we have found a very large mammal for all of you to view. We have this young elephant who is busy browsing and scratching himself, apparently. The rest of the herd is sort of spread out but far back in the thickets. It's just this little one, and then there's one farther down the way. We're sitting here on our southern boundary where it's just doing a large loop. It seems as if those lion tracks have come back into Djuma. So we're just triple checking that they haven't maybe crossed out in the midst of their hunting spree. And while we were doing that, we came across these elephants who are as calm as can be in this very beautiful morning. Can we hear the birds calling in the background? A little bit, maybe. And a little bit of this elephant feeding. Now, interestingly enough, this little spot where this elephant is busy feeding, there is some nice green lush grass as well as the branches that are here. And this has to do with the way that the road is positioned, and it's actually collected more water than elsewhere. So I have a feeling that one of the reasons... Hello. Yes, good morning. One of the reasons why this little female is enjoying where she's enjoying is that probably has a little bit of a better food source than anywhere else. You can actually see the difference between the brown grass and the green grass on screen there. And it's one of the last places left at the moment that is actually doing somewhat okay in the grass department. So you can see the rest of the herd is starting to come out just in the background here. We are going to have a telephone pole or two in the shot. Sorry about that. She's eyeballing us, deciding what she wants to do. Does she want to cross the road, or does she want to engage with us in any way? What did you have there, sweet? That's interesting. Notice how she was smelling that, and then she was also keeping an eye on us. That's a little bit of displacement behavior. It's a little bit of where they're pretending to do one thing, but they're actually doing another. And while they're doing that, they're thinking. We do that as humans as well. So we'll sit and we'll do something with our hands, or possibly look off like this, and we might be listening, but we're thinking about what's going on. I just want to move a little bit forward to get a better view for all of you. Ooh, Patrick, interesting question. You're asking how many babies would elephants have throughout their life? Yes, madam. I just want to go up to this little one up here while I answer this. I'm sorry, madam, excuse me. She went off the road and then she saw us coming past, and she changed her mind about how she felt about us. I'm just going to quietly roll forward. So Patrick, an elephant will... No, those weren't lion tracks. An elephant will start being able, a female will start being able to have babies around the age of 9, but she usually only has babies around the age of 13. And then she'll have one calf sort of every 4 to 6 years until she's in her 50s-ish, right around in there. So I would guesstimate anywhere between 8 and 10, roughly, give or take. It also depends if it's any dry spells, and then she might actually go up to about 8 years between babies. So let's say between 8 and 10. And then usually it's just one baby, although there have been circumstances where elephants have had twins. I don't know if the twins have survived, but it is recorded. Now the one we have on screen, the larger one, is a young male, and then this little one coming through, I didn't get a look underneath, but we'll have a look now to see if it's male or female. The larger one is probably about 8 to 10 years old, and this little one is probably about 3 to 4 years old. Also a little male. Can we hear him picking those leaves off and moving around there in the brush? All right, now that sound there, we could hear it very, very lightly, but that sound there, sometimes all you're going to hear of elephants when you're on foot, like what Scott's doing now, is just them feeding slowly, slowly, slowly. They actually don't make too much noise as they move around. And there he goes. I've just got another vehicle behind me. I just want to move out of their way. Or not. Are you telling me not to move, little one? Just gonna slowly come forward a bit, just so that they can get past. Now, Scott's busy helping us with some of the tracking. I know that he's helped, or is helping with the lion tracks, but I don't know if maybe he has some other tracks he wants to share with us. So I think we're gonna carry on looking, and you're gonna head on over to him and see what that's all about.
We've got some very, very good news, everyone, so you can take a deep breath and a sigh of relief. We came across a set of female leopard tracks, and with a little bit of investigation, we found a tiny little pair of baby leopard tracks following it. So in all likelihood, it is Tundi and her cub, and it means the cub is still alive. Woohoo! So now we need to try and work out where they are. It's quite a tricky area that they've moved through. Their tracks came towards a small pan behind us where they probably took a drink, and then they kind of headed back in the direction that they came from. So we're just kind of checking around very carefully to work out where they've gone after having a drink. And quite interestingly, we're quite far away from where we had her yesterday at that kill. I'd say probably a mile away, and it seems like Tundi thought, let's just get out of this area. There's too many hyena, too many lions moving around, and she decided to get out of that dangerous area and move somewhere else. Now, despite that, I'm guessing that she could well head back to those kills. There's still quite a lot of meat remaining at that area, So once she's found somewhere that she feels safe to stash the cub, I'm guessing she may head back there. So we've got our work cut out for us. There's lots of variables as to where she could be and what could be going on. But the good thing is that the cub is still alive. What a relief. So let's go around here. No sign of any tracks coming across this road that we've just been walking along. And whilst tracking, it's often the process of elimination. It's very difficult to follow each and every individual footprint. So you kind of just loop around, do some circles through the area, in the areas where it is easy to see tracks. And like now we've moved on to a little bit of a game trail. You could think of it as a secondary road, a dusty farm road, as opposed to one of the main highways that we sometimes travel along, which are also dusty. But I'm hoping we get lucky, and I know Tristan is coming into this area to give us a hand, so why don't you go and see how excited he is about the good news.
Well, I'm very excited, Scotty D. I'm super glad and relieved that there are tracks for that little one. Now just to find them and see where they are. And it just goes to show that sometimes we can't just panic too soon. You know, when that little one doesn't respond to mom, it seems to be a common trait for this one, because I've seen Thandi calling a few times and it just literally looking the other way as if to say, Mom, I'm not ready to come right now. I'm happy where I am. You can just wait. And so it's hopefully going to be in all good health and everything will be 100%. But I find if it's walking from where that carcass was all the way towards Chelapan side and coming back and around that area, then hopefully it should be just fine. So that's really good news, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with her this morning somewhere in this general vicinity. It's interesting because there are tracks for a lioness going down this road, but I think they're from yesterday, from when the 3 were in the area and then 2 ended up on quarantine and 1 in this section. So maybe it's just her, and the rest of the lions are going north now towards sort of Buffelshoek Dam area, which is good news. But there you can see the lion tracks that I was talking about. They almost look a bit male leopard like, actually, now that I see them. When I was driving down, I thought that they were lion tracks, but they actually look very male leopardy to me, because they're not as big as I first thought they were. And I was on such a mission to get to Thandi that when I was driving here, I thought that they were for a lioness, but those could very well be a male leopard track. I actually want to have a little closer look just to double check. Quite difficult to see a sort of lioness track and a male leopard in very soft sand like this. Both of them sort of go out a little bit, and you can sometimes misidentify them. They look very leopard-like though, don't they, Vildi? Maybe just a big male leopard. Maybe Tingana's on the prowl. But the thing is, when you get to substrate like this, can you see nicely there, Vildi? What do they look like? Leopard. So VM reckons leopard, which is a good thing. I wonder if maybe Tingana's not around as well, and also just moving around in this area, coming to check up on his little one. Maybe he heard that there was a scare and he came just to be the good dad and just come and say, well, I'm here, don't worry everybody, everything is fine. Now, I believe a lot of you are very excited about the fact that there are tracks and evidence that Thandi's little cub is around. Well, I think everybody's a bit relieved. I know yesterday there was a bit of panic in the social media area about this little one, and I suppose rightly so. It's when you see a female calling incessantly like that and no actual sign of the cub, it always gets a little bit worrying, and you kind of think to yourself, where's this thing gone and what's going on? But hopefully everything is fine with it, and you know, Thandi's just being cautious, and at the end of the day she also needs water. She needed to come and find a place to get water, and so I'm not surprised that she moved into this area. So it is very good news. Now I'm just double checking all of these areas because I need to see where this track goes. So it goes straight across towards Chelapan as well. So while I kind of follow these and just check what's going on and see how this all plays out, let's go across to Taylor McCurdy, who's also busy searching, well, for anything on the plains.
Good luck, Tristan. Speaking of tracks, we've just found some tracks of our own. We've been trying to follow them, but if you look just down on the right hand side of this track, you'll see there's lots of hyena footprints. We did also have a male lion's track and a female lion's tracks, but unfortunately I've lost them. So I'm just checking around the luggers to see if they haven't just gone off to lay into the thicket somewhere. But there's some very freshly laid hyena tracks. Shall we try and follow them? Not that you can do much tracking out here in the Mara, but every now and then on the very sandy roads or after we've had a lot of rain, well, then you can see the tracks on the ground. But not that that helps you all the time. Now we have a request from my bestest friend ever, Tesla, who's only 7 years old. You want me to find you a baby zebra? I haven't seen any more zebra other than the ones that we had at the beginning of the show, Tesla. So I'm looking far and wide to see if I can find you one. But at the moment, I don't think I'm looking in the right areas because there's no game here. There's no topi, there's no Thompson's gazelle. I don't know where all the animals have gone. We'll find them eventually. The other thing we're trying to desperately do is find a way across this lugger. We've tried 2 different crossings. We'll get stuck if we go through them. So we're just going further and further along. Now you see all those areas where we've had the musketeers, we're supposed to use their proper name now here, the Fast Five. They like it around here. But I just don't know where they've gone, to be honest. See, here comes another wonderful thing. Let's see if we're not going to get stuck. Maybe not. Very sludgy. I wonder how much rain we actually had last night. We got caught in it just as we were leaving. Oh no. Craig? Hold on. Hyena tracks, funny enough, unless it's another one that was moving around here. So you've got to go with a little bit of speed through some of those muddy sections, otherwise you just go get stuck. I can't believe we haven't even seen a lion this morning. Normally they're all out. We heard them calling from camp. Well, I heard them calling at one point. Right, but we'll keep trying. We'll just be optimistic this morning and hope we're going to find lots of baby zebra for Tesla and then hopefully some big cats. Okay, but while we do that, I'm going to send you back down to Noel, who is also on a mission to find the lions.
Thanks, Taylor. I am. I'm also on a mission to find lions. I hope you find yours, and I hope we find ours as well. And Tesla, I will keep an eye out for a baby zebra. We don't see zebra as much as Taylor does up in the Mara, but we do have some, and there are some babies running around. So if I find one, I'll make sure to put it on screen for you, sweetie. All right, so we've checked our southern boundary. We're now checking our eastern boundary. We haven't picked up anything. And the other guide that I'm busy working with these lions has done a smaller circle. And so we're going to head more north and go and help him now with the smaller circle. Because remember, when we're tracking with vehicle, we do big circles like this and then concentrically come into a smaller circle. And because there's 2 of us, I've done the outer ring and he's done the inner ring. So that's what we're up to. And I believe Tristan has gotten those tracks of Tundi and the cub and Scott as well, which is fantastic, so we can all breathe a sigh of relief. I know some of you were very worried about that little cubbo. They're pretty resilient, and Tundi's a good mum. She's been keeping a good eye. I think yesterday was just a little bit stressful with all the hyenas and lions around. And I'm also, whilst I'm here on the boundaries, I'm also keeping an eye out for the wild dogs. The last update I had was that they were moving in sort of on this side and then up a little bit north. So I'm hoping that they start to make an appearance for all of us, because I feel like I haven't really had a lot of wild dog action lately. December was such a good month for dogs for us. And then now this month, they have chosen elsewhere. There's also the pack that's more to the west of us that had pups on that side, and those pups should be... The clouds move away, the sun comes out and it's warm. We have actually not seen as much as I would expect, and I think it has to do with this cloud cover that's in front of me here. It's got quite a bit of moisture, so I feel like a lot of the animals might be pushing up farther north because it's very dry here. And I have talked about how dry it is on and off Oh, it's hyena. Sorry, I've got such leopard and lion brain on today that every track that it looks like a paw I'm getting dragged into, but it's a hyena. I am actually quite worried about the condition of the felt at the moment, unfortunately. So I really, really, really want rain. Now, while I'm busy following up on these lions still, Scotty D is on the tracks of a leopard. I'm hoping it's Tundi, or it might be a male leopard. We'll have to wait and see. So let's go on over to him.
We are hugely focused on trying to find Tundi, and we've come across a bit of a tricky scenario in that we can't work out where she has gone. So we're kind of just slowly extending our search, looping around, checking areas that we haven't checked yet, and hoping that we will come up with some sign. Herbie's feeling very confident. He keeps saying, no, don't worry, we'll tola. And tola means to find in the local language. So he is extremely excited. And what we do whilst kind of tracking is I just keep an eye on him, and he checks one area, I check another area, just so that we can try and speed up the process. And it definitely does help hugely working in a team whilst tracking. Ellie Belly, you'd like to know if this couldn't be Shadow and her youngster. I highly doubt it. Not Barbara's feet are far larger than Tundi's young cub. And because we have spent so much time with Tundi and her cub over the last few weeks and months, we kind of know the size of its paw prints. So I'm almost 99% certain that it's Tundi and her cub. So that is something that we can all be very, very excited about. Whew. Good stuff. It sounds like Noel has found some elephants. Why don't you go along and see what they're up to?
Thanks, Scott. And yes, everyone, I've, surprise, made my way out towards the hyena den. So we'll be there shortly, but the little road that takes us towards that brought us to this group of elephants. And look how beautiful that is, with the rays, well, the crepuscular rays just poking through the clouds as this quite reasonably large group of elephants moves through the grassland here. He seems to have joined the breeding herd, but he's the closest animal to us. He's got quite a nice set of tusks on him, but he seems quite relaxed and happy-go-lucky, as some of the males can be like. Well, they're all just going about their morning business of feeding a little bit, and it was quite interesting yesterday that we noticed just before that storm came, all of the elephants seemed to be moving in droves towards the escarpment, almost moving out of the swampy or marshy area and up to where there was a bit more solid ground. And that's very interesting, because the day before that, when we came down the hill at the start of the game drive, we noticed that all the baboons had already moved up the top of the escarpment and almost making as if they were heading for their roost for the evening. And it was not even half an hour, 45 minutes after that, and it really started raining a lot. So there's really something that says to me these animals know when the rain is coming, and they obviously take steps to make their life a little bit easier. Now, there in the background, you can see I'm 100% sure that will be all those lesser kestrels that we have been seeing over the last few days. They are migratory birds, and they're here for our summer. And there is really a lot of them. They're joining up in groups, and that's how they will have arrived. And they might start splitting up in the next few days and weeks, and then they will gather again before they migrate back to Asia and Europe. But for the time being, they're probably going to try and fatten themselves up on all the insects and small rodents that they can find, as well as some of reptiles or small lizards. James, you want to know if there's any birds or local birds that the locals associate with good luck? Well, yes, there is, like the birchals or the kukels in general. That's obviously associated with rain. So it depends if you think the rain is good luck or not. I do definitely think that it's good luck. We're having terribly good rain here in Kenya at the moment, and it needs to be said that in South Africa there is an impending disaster on the way. In Cape Town, we're looking at the first major city in the world that is probably going to run dry in the beginning of April. So I would say that the kukels bringing the rain would definitely be good luck. I'm thinking of any other birds that might be just a pure type of good luck that they see. You know, a lot of them are actually more so closer to bad luck. Like if an owl lands on a villager's house or hut, it's believed that somebody in the family is going to die. So the little owl's shame, they do take a knock, because if they land on somebody's house, they're obviously quite scared of that, so they'll try and kill it, because they believe that, yes, that brings the death to the family. But for pure good luck, I'm not quite sure. The rollers are obviously the birds that are associated with marriage or wedding, or the bond that is shared between two people. But for pure good luck, I'm going to have to keep thinking about that, James. Now you see the droves, how they're sort of moving back down from the escarpment towards the Mara River, and more towards the wetter, swampy, marshy area. So it seems in the late afternoon they move up towards the escarpment, and then early morning like this they move back down to their grazing area. It would just be left to be seen what they actually get up to during the night. Up towards the escarpment. Do they continue feeding? It's a mystery for me for now, because I haven't been able to spend nights watching them and seeing what they get up to. But it's definitely that they are moving up towards the escarpment. All of the elephants, because yesterday that swampy area pretty much emptied out completely before the rains came, and they all headed up towards the escarpment. So very interesting. A kind of small migration within the Mara Triangle. They don't need to move hundreds of kilometers for them to be migrating. Now, Lynn, you want to know if the elephants in Djuma would survive in the Mara? I definitely think so, Lynn, because the elements here are not, it's not that harsh, it's not too hot, it's not too cold, there's lots of good feed around, there's lots of water as well. So I think I think actually the elephants from the Mara would probably struggle more in Djuma than the other way around, especially now, because it's probably a lot drier in that part of the Kruger National Park, or the greater Kruger Park, than it is here, and the food would probably be a little bit more difficult to find. So I think that these elephants have really got it good, and I think you can see that they really enjoy it here. The elephants in Djuma, I think, have got to work a little bit harder for both their food and their water. So I do think that the Mara elephants would survive in Djuma, but I do think that they would find it a little bit more difficult than going the other way around. Now, it's still fascinating to watch all those lesser kestrels there in the background. They're all flying around. Maybe there's some insects that have hatched after the rains, such as your flying termites or the alates, and that's what could be seeing them all flying around like that, catching those unsuspecting flying termites. But I'm going to be heading over there. That's pretty much in the direction of the hyena den. So we'll get a bit closer to those lesser kestrels and see what they're up to. But we're still watching these elephants happily moving through the grasslands here. Right, I think I'm going to start up and head towards that hyena den. Look at that, there goes the hot air balloon. But while I do that, let's head you on back to South Africa. And Tristan, let's see how he's going.
Well, we're still looking around, still checking. Haven't found any sign of Thandi just yet. But Herbie had tracks for her and the cub going to Chelapan and now coming back through the Mulwati. So what I thought was I would come back into the area where the carcass is and just sit and just try and see what's going on. Maybe we can listen and hear her make a noise or contact call or something like that. It'll just give us an indication of where she is, or even some alarm calls from impalas or anything else that might be around. So that's why we came back here. Like I said, the carcass is just on my right, so I think I'm just going to go sit there for a little bit and just wait patiently and see what goes on. Also, I didn't really take a proper look at those carcasses this morning on how much is left there or whether or not she might abandon it. I don't think she would. I spoke to Herbie now about it. Well, I just bumped into him and he was saying to me that he doesn't think she would abandon it either, and maybe she just went for water. It is the closest water point to where we are, and so it's not surprising if she did go for water there and then come all the way back to the carcass. But I just want to double check also how much is actually left here, because if it's just a few legs after having two carcasses the way that she did, it's probably fine that she won't really have to come back to it. Although there looks like there's still quite a bit here. I mean, there's definitely the head of the duiker is still here. The waterbuck looks as though it's been eaten quite a bit, but there is still some meat there that's definitely nutrients. And with a cub, you'd find that a mother would probably not turn her nose up to nutrients. She'll try and get as much as she can, unless she's managed to kill something else and wants to go and feed off that. But there you can see there's more neck and head meat. So there's still a lot there that can be eaten, and definitely worth her while coming back again and trying to find it. Now, I'm very surprised that our little boy Hosanna has not arrived here, because, well, Hosanna seems to have a nose for carcasses and seems to be able to smell them out wherever he is, and I'm surprised that he hasn't figured this one out after 4 days, because I would have thought maybe he was just south of us, that he might have figured something was going on and come this way. But alas, he's not here, and so I think we're going to sit and wait patiently for a little bit, just try and listen out. And while we do that, I'm going to send you back across to Noel, who I think is in hot pursuit of a noisy predator.
So we are also sitting and waiting and listening. There was some male lion calling, male lion sounds, male lion roars, and so we're waiting patiently. We're back at Twin Dams, and whilst we're waiting patiently, this little monitor lizard has poked his head out of the dam in amongst these sticks and is having a look around. Now, we don't always get to see monitor lizards, so I'm really chuffed with what we're able to get now. You can actually see his ear opening. Well, you can see the side of his head, he's got his eye, and then that little round bit there, there's his ear opening. Oh, you can see his claws as well. Fantastic. So we get water monitors, and we also get rock monitors. And one of the guys that I used to work with, who I've done some mentoring with, was saying that over his 25 years of guiding, he's actually noticed a difference in the tracks between water monitors and rock monitors. And that rock monitors tend, I think if I'm remembering this correctly, rock monitors tend to have a wider track, and water monitors tend to have a thinner track. And I believe he said that the rock monitors sort of lift themselves up just a titch more than the water monitors, and he's just been busy collecting data on that in his spare time. I find it very, very interesting. So this monitor will be looking for things like bird eggs. It will probably be eating, I would imagine that if it could catch a little fish around there, a little fish, some frogs, insects. And then because the weather's going towards the cooler side again, he's probably a lot warmer there at the edge of the water, half in the water, half out, than he would be completely outside the water. And because he is a reptile and he needs outside temperatures to help regulate his inside temperatures, he's also not going to be moving very much at the moment. We have a woodland kingfisher who keeps diving into the water from just behind where this rock monitor is, there's a big beautiful leadwood tree. It's now sitting there. You saw the reflection of the leadwood there. He's now sitting about 2/3 of the way up on the right hand side, just there. And he's dove down a couple of times. There he is. So I'm hoping that he does it again while we're here. We were talking the other day about birds that migrate. So this woodland kingfisher migrates down to us for the summer. And one of the birds that we usually see that comes maybe a month or two after the woodland kingfisher, so it should be here now, is a carmine bee-eater. But amazingly, I haven't seen any carmines physically here on Djuma yet. When I was out and about the other day, farther north from here, I heard some flying around. And I actually think it has to do with our lack of rain a little bit. The place that I was visiting a few days ago has had much, much, much more rain than we have. So it's interesting with that movement. The woodland doesn't care as much, it seems like. The carmines, I think, have stopped pushing this far south because of that lack of rain. There he goes, cleaning all of his feathers. Now I hope he dives down one more time. He's diving down not to catch fish, but to get the water on him to help with this preening process, this cleaning process. Sorry, Kirst, I only got the last little bit of that, if you wouldn't mind sending it through again. EK, you're saying that water monitors are in Asia and that what I've called a water monitor is a Nile monitor. PK, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. All of my books, my guidebooks that I use alternate between using water monitor and rock monitor. And that's very interesting. All right, I think let's head up to Tristan. I think Tristan's found my male lion that I've been waiting for, so we'll go up to him so you can have a look at that.
We have indeed. So we're sitting here waiting patiently at the carcass, and it's paid off, not because Tundi and Cub has arrived, but, well, because Tinyo is on the scene. And we know that the Birminghams also are very opportunistic and show up in the most random of places. So massive surprise, and maybe that's why Tundi and Cub got out of here, as they heard these boys coming, knew they weren't far away, and now they've just decided they're going to try get out. But this male knows something is here. He's come in, he's walked straight in this direction. You can see he's kind of sniffing around, and I wouldn't be surprised if he climbs this tree. It's a small enough tree for him to go in, and maybe we'll get the most epic sighting of a male lion climbing the tree. And we heard squirrel's alarm calling earlier, and we thought maybe it was Tundi and Cub on their way back, but evidently it's this male, because you can, there we go, you see he spotted the carcass in the tree now. Look, you can see he's got his nose up. Tinyo, have you found yourself a meal, boy? Yep, there we go. Nose is in the air. He's most certainly smelt this. He knows that there is something here. And you can see he's just stopping, just double checking what's going on. He knows that there is definitely a food item. The smell of rotten waterbuck and dike is like ringing the dinner bell for a male lion. And like I say, that tree is not that far away. He could definitely get up into that tree, that's for sure. And it's not a small sort of distance to go up onto this sort of bottom of the tree to the first fork is actually not that far at all, and a big male lion like this would easily be able to get up there. We know that the Birminghams have climbed trees before, so it could most definitely be something that he would get up to. But I think just taking stock of the situation first, making sure there's no leopard around that he needs to chase. No, he's going to just go away. Are you going to sniff around there first? It's very interesting. I would have thought that he would have come straight to this tree and taken it. But he seems as though he's not interested. Maybe he's on more of a mission to find the females than he is. That's very interesting. I would have thought he definitely would have gone up there for those little carcasses, because there's meat on offer for nothing. Maybe he realizes there's not much there and he's just deciding he's going to go and rather check out what's happening. But either way, interesting behavior. I would have thought that he was going to go up and actually go and try and grab it. Now, Michael, you say this is awesome. This is the first time you've come across this stream. Well, welcome, Michael, to the epicness that is a live safari. I hope that you will be joining us for many, many more. And remember, it is interactive, so you can ask us lots of different questions. If you have any questions about this lion and what's going on, you're more than welcome to ask. Now, I may have mentioned earlier, Michael, that this is a Birmingham male and his name is Tinyo. So the Birmingham males, Michael, are a coalition of 4 male lions that we have of the Sabi Sands. They've taken over this northern section as well as many other parts of the Sabi Sands, and they have mated with multiple different females. And lately we haven't seen too much of them, Michael, and that reason why is because they've got such a big area. They've been going all over the place, and so very little of them has actually been seen. Now, the reason why this male is called Tinyo is because if you look at him now, he's going to have a little lip that kind of curls up slightly on that left-hand side, and it often shows his tooth. And so Tinyo means a tooth, and that's why he got that name. It's a very apt name, I should say, because it's often sort of snarling and has his tooth out. But look at how his head is down. You see how he's sniffing? I think the rest of the lions came through here as well. There was tracks for the Nkahuma pride all over the place here. And so I'm pretty sure that he's trying to sniff out the Nkahuma pride, which is the resident pride in this area. Right, well, we're going to follow Tinyo, see where he goes, see what he gets up to. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Ralph in the Masai Mara, who I believe has got a beautiful sighting of his favorite animal.
Yes, everyone, we've managed to make it out here to the hyena den, and surprise, surprise, we've got lots of activity. There's a few adults around, all the cubs are out and very curiously coming up to the vehicle at the moment. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about, there is one of the adult hyenas that is limping quite badly, and she's just walked behind the vehicle now. That's why you can't see her, but I will show you her in a minute when she returns into view. But at the moment we've got these very curious little cubs that are coming up to the vehicle, trying to work out exactly what we are. But the more we talk and they can get our smell a little bit, I'm sure they'll be quite happy that we've joined them here next to their den site. As you see, they come up curiously and then run back a little bit, almost a little bit nervous or anxious. But the adults are very relaxed, so that obviously also helps to just keep the nerves calm on the little cubs. But there's lots of them around. All different ages here as well. It's lovely to see all of them out at the moment. And, well, like Tristan said, I think I should stop beating around the bush and just say that hyena are my favorite animals. Them and baboons, I think for me, are the most intriguing animals out there. And it's also very important to note that hyenas are extremely intelligent. And they can even, you know, we were speaking about birds that use tools or take their food to heights and drop them. Now, Carla, you're saying you love their ears. I love them too as well. They're like mini satellite dishes, aren't they? And they use once they're engaged, they're definitely getting everything. Hey, don't bite my tire. And hyenas, they have been known also to take very big bones and go and put it into water. So whether in a puddle or in a water hole, and they can leave it to soak there to soften the bone. And very big bones that they might get from elephant or giraffe. And so these cubs, a lot of them have just disappeared around the back of my vehicle. So I'm not seeing all of them, shame. But we do have some of them here just next to the adults. I'm just waiting for these other ones to return here because I'd like to get all of these cubs in the picture. But I'm quite concerned about this adult that's limping as well. She's just been for a poo. We heard the noise. Now, Christine, you want to know why we don't ever hear the hyenas laughing? Well, Christine, mostly when they do that sort of cackle, it's mostly around food. So we did hear it the other day. It was a little while ago when the adults had obviously brought a couple of warthog skulls back to the den site, and then we heard the little cubs even vocalizing exactly like you are asking, with that real cackle-like laugh. And so it definitely seems that it's probably not purely around food, but predominantly so. We've heard it once or twice with the little youngsters as well, when they've had like a branch and they're flaunting it to their siblings as they run through. But for me, that is once again an imitation of a behavior around food that they were doing even with the stick. But it was a little bit of a simulation of them just running through with potentially like a bone, but they had a stick instead. And it's amazing to hear the little cubs when they vocalize, because it's almost identical to that of the adults, and the volume, everything is you would almost not know that it's a little one. So everyone, I might just reposition just to get a better view of all these little cubs and try to see what's happening with this limping adult. But while I do that, let's send you on back to South Africa and Tristan looking for some of those lions.
Well, we've got this Birmingham who's done a full circle and is now back at the tree where Tandy's kill is. He's now going straight towards it. So I wonder if he's just circled round in the checking what else is here and trying to actually find exactly where it is. But he's on his way straight there. So let's just try and keep up with him, because I think he might, maybe he will go up this tree. I don't know. It's going to be touch and go. He seems not to be that interested. He kind of, actually, hold on. There we go. He's changed direction now. Now he's looking. Has he spotted it now? Maybe he has. I don't know. He's looking in the tree very quizzically. Says probably is wondering why there is no leopard here. That's probably what's going through his mind. But how he's not seeing it, I'm not sure, because they're right there. That's the branch that they're on. There's both the carcasses, one over there, and then the other one is just to the left-hand side. So, I mean, it's not like it's difficult to see, and if we can see it, he surely can see it as well. But he's sniffing intently. He's looking. I don't know what he's up to. And it's not like he couldn't do with the meal. You can see his tummy is sucked in a little bit. So you would think that he would go up there and try and grab it. You would think that he would be hungry enough to expend the energy. But he just doesn't seem interested in actually doing it. Unless he can't see it, I don't know. No, there we go. I think he's spotted it now. So let's see if he's going to go up this tree. It'll be interesting if he is. There we go. He's going towards the tree. I think he's going to go up into the tree now, so I think we'll do an action broadcast quickly. Well, very warm welcome to all of those of you that have just joined us to this live safari. As you can see, we have a beautiful big male lion in front of us, and there's about to be an incredible scene unfolding. My name is Tristan. On camera today I've got VM, and this is a live interactive safari. So post any questions or comments that you have in the comment section below, and we'll happily answer as many as we can. Now, this male lion, you see he keeps looking into the tree, and the reason why I was saying we were going to get an unusual sighting is because in that tree are two carcasses. There's a duiker carcass and a waterbuck, and they've been left there by a leopard. There was a leopard female and her cub here yesterday, and she's probably gone off for water, and this male lion opportunistically has come across this, and he might climb up the tree. So a lot of people don't believe that lions can climb, but this male lion might just show just how well they can do it. Here we go. Look, he's going to go up. How cool is this? He's going to go. It's not as graceful as he's a bit hesitant because, well, climbing a tree is not the easiest, but he will get up there eventually. So let's see. There he goes. And look at the power in that. That is a massive 500-pound cat that has just climbed the marula tree and is up in there. How cool is this? That is as epic as it could ever get. So he's going to go up and he'll take it out. He's not going to feed up there like a leopard would. He's going to take the carcass out of the tree, and he's going to then feed on it on the ground rather. So you'll find that situation where he's not going to eat up in the tree because, well, at the end of the day, it's not very comfortable up there. You can see he's struggling a little bit to actually get into the tree itself and to balance himself. So let's see how he goes. He's kind of trying to reposition it and trying to get it a little bit sort of better sorted so that he can actually come down with it and try and sort of figure out a way to dismount this marula tree that he's currently in. So I don't know how he's going to do it, but let's see. Now, a lot of you are saying, wow, amazing. It is amazing. Now, look how he walks, head up, proud as though he's done himself a very good job. It is incredible what he's just done. It is amazing to watch lions climbing tree. It is not every day that you'll get to see that. Now, unfortunately for Thandi and Cub, there goes her waterbuck carcass, and well, there's still a bit of a dike in there, so we might see a round 2 a little bit later, but he's going to wolf this down first, and that will be hardly a meal for a male lion. He's certainly not going to sort of touch sides. It's not very much there at all, but he'll finish most of it. I'll just try and reposition ourselves so we can actually see him a little bit better than what we see now. Now, unfortunately, we're not in an action broadcast, so the rest of you can still ask as many questions as you have, and if you've never seen a male lion climbing before, well, how spectacular was that? That is as good as it gets. It kind of took him a bit of time to figure out how exactly to get up into the tree, but it's so cool to see. Now, a lot of you are saying, well done, Tinyo. Well, he did do pretty well, and luckily for him, the tree is not exactly that high where the first fork is, and that means he could just jump out of the fork and didn't actually have to climb down properly. So, Michael, you reckon the score on the climb from the judges was a solid 7 and the dismount a solid 8? Well, I agree. I think the dismount was probably better than the climb. I think he did very well and certainly more elegant than a number of other male lions I've seen climbing trees. I've seen a couple male lions climb trees and come out and end up face first. Now, here comes the hyenas. We're going to get some interaction with hyenas now as well. So, 2 hyenas have arrived. They obviously heard the climbing and the movement, and they're going to come in here and they're going to get an awfully big fright expecting a female leopard and to find a big male lion instead. So this could be quite cool to see. There is also going to be another vehicle that's going to join us shortly because, well, we are out here and there's a number of other vehicles that are going to come in. So there come the marauding hyenas. They're going to see, oh, hang on, there's a lion here and are not going to be too... Let's see if they're going to harass him. He has no idea that they're approaching. Look, there they come. They're not too far from him. Oh, you see, hyenas are far more scared of lions than lion is of a hyena. All he did was turn his face and growl at them and they both went running. Not a female leopard at all. A female leopard would have been hounded by these hyenas. They thought they were going to try their luck, but unfortunately for them, male lion 1, hyenas 0 at this stage. But this one, there's one coming around on the right side. Let's see if it's going to come around the back of that vehicle towards where this lion is. It went running behind that car there. There it comes. You see it's coming from the front side now. Now they've got their tails up, and I wonder if there's going to... Oh, no, it's decided. That hyena, I think, has just about pooped itself. Then it saw the face of a male lion staring back at it and just absolutely bolted and has left its friend for dead. The friend is just kind of sitting here by itself, and the others have all run off. So Tinyo is definitely a much more imposing presence than even female lions will be. You'll find that female lions will still get hounded by hyenas, but a male lion, not a chance. Both of these hyenas absolutely pooped themselves when they saw that it was a male lion and not a female leopard that they were busy looking at. So, pretty incredible to witness. What an epic sighting. This tree has provided so much over the last few days. Sky, you're wondering if Tinyo will go and get the other carcass. He might. I don't know if he'll get it right now. He's going to obviously eat this and polish this off fairly quickly, and once he's done with that, then he might go, or he might rest and then go and get this one a little bit later. But he certainly, I don't think, would leave it up there. I think if there's a chance for food, he will try and take it and he'll try and feed off it. What's going to be interesting is whether or not Thandi and Cub arrive back here. Hopefully they don't, because we don't want a situation where the Cub and Thandi walk into Tinyo. Rather they stay away, and with the squirrel alarm calling the way that it is and the hyenas around and standing quite alert, hopefully Thandi will get the sign that something's not right here and move away then. But it's going to be an interesting kind of play out this morning and see exactly how this goes, and whether or not Tinyo does attempt a secondary climb, and whether or not he goes up to actually try and find that food and actually sort of get that duiker out. If he does, it's going to be the most epic thing, because the branch that he'll have to walk on will mean that we'll have him like we did with Tundi, where it'll just be complete clear sky behind a male lion in a tree, and there's the duiker there. So I mean, it's not very big and there's not much on it, but it's still nutrients for nothing, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he does jump up there and try and feed on it. Absolutely insane. Who could have scripted this? And that's the best thing about doing safaris every single day, is that you never, ever, ever, ever know what's going to happen, and you can never tell how things are going to play out. We've had yesterday morning the beauty of Tundi and Cub together, then the intrigue of the lionesses walking close by, her going off, Cub going missing in the afternoon, and now a male lion showing up and stealing the kills. It's really just, you couldn't have scripted it any better than what we have seen over the past 24 hours at this kill. It's really quite phenomenal. But you'll see with him, where Tundi struggled with the bones and the spine and the legs, he's not going to have any issues whatsoever. His jaws and mouth is much bigger, and so he'll be able to crunch through this baby waterbuck's legs, no problem, as well as its head and anything else that's left there. And there'll be very, very little left of this carcass. Also, because he's a little bit skinny, he'll easily devour all of that, as well as that duiker, no problem. And those would be almost like a starter for him. So I think Tinyo will definitely spend the day in this section. I don't think he's going to move too far now that he's got a meal. He might want to go for water, or he might hear another lion calling or something like that and try and head off in those directions. But for now, he's got himself a really good meal. Now, can you hear that crunching of those bones? Now, that will be a good thing, because that will tell Tundi that somebody is here and that she must stay away. So, very good news. Now, I believe Ralph in the Mara is still sitting with his favorite animal, and, well, hopefully they would be a lot more brave than their cousins down here in South Africa, because, well, our ones just ran for their lives.
Yes, everyone, and we've just changed position a little bit. And so these cubs are running around all over the place. The adults have moved a little bit away from the den site, but I've been listening to them, and it seems that they've probably had a big feed last night, because they've both, the adults that are here, they've both disappeared off and gone for a poo, and it is very runny and noisy and extremely smelly indeed. It was quite a stinkerama here just now, as we smelt probably that first passing through of their digestion. So now there are a couple of the little youngsters. If you look very closely there, it might look like there's something wrong with their coat, if they have mange, or if their hair's falling out, but it's actually just mud. Now, wildflower, you want to know if a hyena was unable to hunt, would the others feed it? Wildflower, it depends on where they are in the hierarchy. Very political, as we know, with the hyenas. So if that adult that is a little bit injured, and I'm assuming because she's so close to the den site here that she does have a high rank, yes, then potentially she would be able to still limp on over to a carcass where the other hyenas had made a kill, per se, or stolen some food, and she could literally just go over and dominate it, even though she's injured. Because it's not about her physical capabilities, it's literally her breeding. Where she was born from, and that means it's very royal, the type of hierarchy that they have, and very political, and you're born into your position mostly. There can be a little bit of shifting of that, but mostly you're born into it. So I would imagine that hyena there, for whatever reason it got that injury, whether it was trying to take on a prey, or maybe even run in with lions or something like that, or potentially even other hyenas. It's got a bit of a limp, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be too much of a problem for that hyena. Now, things seem to have quietened down a little bit because the adults moved away from the den. It looked like they went to go to the toilet, both of them. the cubs then often very often just go down into the actual holes. But there's one popped out now again, coming in and out. They do get a little bit nervous when the adults aren't around. That's why it's best when they are here, because then they are very relaxed, and then we get to see lots of action. But yeah, everybody disappearing down the hole. But don't worry about those little youngsters. They'll be absolutely fine. Now, Luca, you're wondering if hyenas have any other it's just popped out. Luca, well, obviously their main enemy is probably mankind, humans. But hyenas are very adaptable, and we do find them up on the escarpment. We find them in amongst the villages, and they often just walking around, skulking around at night, looking for the dustbins or any scraps that might be lying around. And also, you can ask our staff members, they also do eat shoes, especially one Martin left his shoes out recently, and in the morning he only had one, and so it had been disappeared with the hyenas. But other than that, the enemies that would be naturally in the wild would potentially just be other hyena clans where their territories would overlap. They would maybe come into conflict there, but otherwise it is generally just other predators, lion and leopard. Not really cheetah, jackals. They're a bit too small. They're not really enemies of the hyena, because the hyena can chase them off very easily. So yes, I would say majorly lions, humans, and other hyenas, pretty much who they need to be a bit wary of. But now it seems it's gone very quiet. I don't know if I'm going to stay here too much longer if it's like this. Otherwise, we're just looking at a very muddy pit. But the smell here is also quite strong at the moment, and as I say, that's where I think they've definitely had a good feed last night. But as this is now quietened down, I think we might move on shortly and find some more action. And speaking of action, I think Tristan's got some wonderful action to show you back in Djuma in South Africa.
Well, we did have lots and lots of action. Now it's just all about feeding. So Tinyo is there just eating as much as he can, crunching every little bone. It's actually quite amazing to hear him eating. The funny thing is, though, is the squirrels all went quiet, and it was very quiet out here, and all of a sudden they've started calling again. So I wonder if maybe somebody else is now lurking around. You never know. It's just kind of one of those sightings where it's almost like anything can happen, and we know that Tandy and Cub could potentially move back in this area. We also know that Angama pride tracks are all around us. There's also another male lion somewhere in this general vicinity that was roaring at some point this morning, and so there's lots happening around, and who knows what could pitch up here and what could unfold as we go. One thing's for certain is it's not hyenas, because they are absolutely vanished since they saw this male lion. They are gone. Both of them tucked their tails and ran for their lives, and so it seems as though it might just be Tinyo on his own. The squirrel's now stopped. Maybe it was because he lifted his head at one point that the squirrel then saw him again, although I would be quite surprised if that was the case. But how incredible is this? It's very, very cool to see. We are super fortunate to have just witnessed what we did. It was, like I say, as good as one could ever ask for, and to see a male lion climbing up a tree, and we had the perfect spot as well, because he kind of faced us when he did it, and the way that he kind of just pulls himself up, and you can see it's a very different climb to the way that Tandy did yesterday. So yesterday we watched Tandy go up and down these trees, and she's very dainty and just goes up and quickly, and she's in the tree and then onto another branch, and it's all very fast and very fluid, whereas the male lion is more brute strength. So he kind of gets his paws up and then literally just sort of does a pull-up basically, and takes those front legs and just pulls his body weight into the tree, and then from there he'll just climb up to that carcass. But I'm really, really hoping that he goes towards that other Daiko, because if he does, the view of him standing on that branch like Tandy did yesterday will just be the most epic shot that you could ever imagine. And so let's see how we go. But he's, I think, already gone through 3 legs. I think this is the last leg now that we're on, so I don't know how much is actually left there. He's kind of put it in a bit of a difficult spot for us to actually see what he's eating, but I don't know if there's going to be much left in the next little bit. You can hear those bones being crunched. So I'm glad that you guys can all hear it as well. That's what I was saying earlier, is that the bones from a little waterbuck won't be any match for a lion's jaws, nor a hyena's do for that matter, but that's why he'll crunch this all down. There'll be very little left of once he's finished here. You can see now it's actually can't be too much left. He's kind of digging his head into the grass already. I reckon there's going to be a small amount. I wonder if he's going to realize that there's another carcass up there, or it's going to be a similar situation to what happened at Chitwa airstrip, where they robbed that carcass out, but they forgot that there was another one in there and left the other one up in the tree itself. So I'm interested to see whether or not he does go back, or if he just decides to sleep and lie down. Jeff, no, the lions don't get sick from eating rotten meat. Their stomachs are designed and are capable of dealing with very rancid meat. I've seen lions eating a giraffe that was so rotten that it was almost dripping. The flesh was starting to drip. It was kind of wasted away that much, and they still ate it, covered in maggots and all kinds of other things. So their stomach is incredibly strong, and it's able to deal with even those kind of bacterias, and so no, they don't get sick. Sometimes do find though that if they eat something that they're not feeling great, they'll try and eat a lot of grass, which causes them to regurgitate a little bit, and they then just vomit up some of the stuff that's maybe making them feel a bit uneasy, or if there's hooves and hair that they're battling to digest, then they'll do that. But I've never seen a lion kind of eat something other than something that maybe contains a disease. So, you know, if there's a situation where there is anthrax in a carcass, or somebody's laced it with poison or something like that, then yes, they can get sick. But that's not because the meat is rancid, it's because it's toxic in some way. Rancid meat they're able to pretty much process, and this, even though it's 4 days old and for us as people is unfit for human consumption, and you would probably be very, very ill if you ate that. Well, a lion, leopard and hyena, they wouldn't worry at all. They'll be able to consume that, no problem. Vian was actually telling me about a time when Kruger killed I don't remember what it was, but she killed something and put it up into a tree and abandoned that carcass for close to a week, and then came back to the carcass a week later and ate it. So just gives you an idea of how rancid the meat can be before they'll actually come back. And if you want to test how rancid meat can be in 7 days, go and buy yourself a nice steak and put it out in the sun over a tree or in some shade and see how it looks in 7 days. It will not be a very pleasant sort of looking piece of meat, and yet they're still able to eat it and consume it, no problem. One thing that is amazing with Tinyo is how fluffy mane is my friend Scotty D, and I believe he's meandering down the road on his bushwalk, and I wonder what he's up to and where he's heading.
Well, we are making lots of circular motions trying to work out where Thandi has gone, but we feel the next circle we make is going to provide us with a breakthrough with regards to her tracks and which way she is heading. We haven't had much luck. The tricky thing is they've come into an area in a westerly direction, had a drink, and then headed back in an easterly direction, the same direction they came from, and we can't work out where exactly they've gone. So trying our best to work it out. I'm hoping we're going to get lucky soon. Interesting that Kruger left a kill for an entire week. That's definitely the longest I've heard of a leopard abandoning a kill before returning to it. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could actually ask the lions and the leopards whether they actually like a slightly matured meat? I know I enjoy a 28-day matured beef steak as opposed to a fresh one. So it would be interesting to know. Obviously there must be a turning point where it just becomes too gruesome and grotesque to actually enjoy. But where exactly that point is, I guess we will never necessarily know. Got some tracks of lion going in the opposite direction here. There's been all kinds of predator activity on Djuma last night. Also lots of hyena tracks all over the show. So, exciting stuff. Well, Mrs. Grumpy, you suggested that you think Tundi gets a kick from playing hide and seek, and I guess the fact that we can't find her is a good sign that she's stashed the cub away somewhere safe. So, well done, Tundi. Seems like she's doing an excellent job avoiding all the other threats that are moving around on Djuma at the moment. I'm sure she's quite surprised. She's probably not used to having all these lions around. She certainly didn't have to deal with that for the first few months of this cub's life, but things have changed now, so she does have her work cut out for her. Very good. We're going to continue, like I said, making circular motions, trying to find these tracks and send you all the way back up to the Masai Mara with Taylor and some elephants.
Finally, we found some animals. My goodness, it's been quiet out here in the Masai Mara. Every guide I've passed so far has said exactly the same thing. So I wonder where all the cats are hiding. But if we can't find any lions, leopard or cheetah, that's fine. There's something else you can get excited about, because remember, soon we're going to be going live for a week of full-time, prime-time safaris after that big game. I think it's happening on the 4th, on Sunday. So whatever big game that is, straight after it, we'll be going live, which is quite exciting. I hope you're all ready. We're all searching for our characters. Hopefully the Black Rock Pride will be one of them. And for those of you that don't know, we'll be playing a game that you all love, Safari Bingo. And essentially what Safari Bingo is, well, it's a game, and you can go to, well, natgeo.com/Safari Live to find out more how to play it. But what you could do is you could win a trip for 2 to Africa. However, there are some terms and conditions, and one of them is that you have to be from the US of A in order to win the prize. So head across again to natgeo.com/Safari Live to find out how you can play Safari Bingo. It's going to be quite exciting, I think. But yes, our elephants are just on the move. They're grazing. That one looks like it's getting left behind. It's obviously found a plant that it seems to be enjoying at the moment. Now, Kirsty, who's directing, is reprimanding me for not singing B-I-N-G-O, bingo, that bingo song. I refuse. I'm not doing it. I will not stoop that low, unfortunately. It's an interesting morning out here. It started off quite chilly. Obviously, we've had a lot of rain. You can see the clouds are thick today, but it's quite warm, so all that air is now trapped in, and there's not a breath of wind, which I'm sure will change, because it's very rare that we go a day without wind here in the Masai Mara. So maybe this afternoon will be howling. I hope not. I hope it's not going to be too windy. The elephants are just having a great time right now, munching as much as they can. And it's funny how we can predict the movements of the elephants in the triangle. We know where they go to feed every morning, every afternoon. But out here it's tough. And I always say, oh, right, okay, I will tell you a little bit more about the elephants. I'm going to send you back down to South Africa, to Tristan.
Well, how cool is this? Tinyo is about to go up to go get the diker now. So he's just working out how to do it. He's getting himself into position, and then hopefully he's going to jump up once again. It looks like he's going to do it. I don't know if he will. He seems to be just hesitating a little bit. I think he's trying to work out what's the best way to go up. He might come round the tree a little bit. There we go. So that's how he's kind of thinking of doing it. You can do it, boy. It's not that far away. So you see he's eyeing out the diker now. He's just checking it. Okay, what is there? Look at that. It's amazing. I was just saying to VM, isn't it incredible to think, oh, he's licking his chops now. I'm sure he's one of thinking, I can get up there, I can manage this. So it's incredible to think that well, a warm welcome to all of those that have just joined us on this live action broadcast. As you can see, something incredible is about to unfold in the fact that we've got a male lion at the base of a tree, and you can see his eyes are pointing up towards the top of the tree. And the reason why is that there is a carcass in the tree at the moment. So there is a kill that a leopard has left up there, and he already went up once and stole the one kill. The leopard had 2 kills, luckily, and there we go. There's the kill over there. You can just see the fur and a bit of a leg sticking out, and so he's been up once to steal 1 kill that the leopard had, and now he's going up hopefully for the second time. It is the most incredible thing to watch lions climb. They are not meant to be climbing. They're not designed to climb like a leopard is. A leopard is a far more agile animal, much smaller, is able to climb very easily, whereas a lion, it takes a lot more energy and effort. And this male lion has already displayed power once by going up into the tree, and now he's trying to do it again. It is going to be incredible if he gets to do it. This is absolutely amazing. Now, he's just stopped looking. I wonder if he's thought maybe it's not really worth it, because it's not a very big meal that's up there. In fact, he would gulp that down in about 1 minute. But let's see, he's kind of just staring off into the distance, and there's been a number of other animals around here. Obviously, we know that there was a leopard and a cub here yesterday, and she disappeared this morning from the scene, maybe because this male lion. There's also been tracks for a whole pride of lions, so that might be why he's looking off in the distance. Maybe he's spotted something else. But he seems as though he's not as interested in what's going on at the moment. He seems that he's kind of just a bit unsure. Now, Chris, you say this is great. Well, Chris, it is as epic as it gets. To see a male lion climb a tree will be just the most insane thing. So hopefully he will go up. Now, remember that you can be like Chris and post your comments and questions in the comment section below, and we'll try and answer as many as possible, because it is live, it is interactive, and so we like to hear from all of you. Now, he's looking. He's going to work out. I think he's going to go. Let's have a look. Seems like he might go up. This is how he went up last time, as he used his paw first. There we go. Do you see? How is that? That is absolutely insane. Now, you see, he almost fell out. They're not as graceful at all as something like a leopard, but there he goes into the main section of the tree. And how ridiculously cool is that? It is not every day that you're going to see a male lion up in a tree and him silhouetted against a blue sky. That is so cool. So we've been absolutely spoiled, that's for sure. Now, sorry Chris, I didn't hear you very nicely there. So, Shelley, you say there's a lot of peer pressure from all of us watching, trying to urge him up, and basically just watching his every move. And now he's got to try and get down. And this is always the funny part with male lions, is getting up is always fun, is always much easier than getting down. Their weight kind of pulls them out, and gravity acts on them, and it becomes a lot harder for them to come down. I wonder if he'll sit on the branch and just have a little feed there. No, he's trying to work out how to turn around, which is quite entertaining, because, well, it's going to be very difficult for him in his sort of turning around ability. And I don't know if he's actually going to get this right, to be honest. I think he's in a situation. We are being absolutely spoiled by all of this, that's for sure. Boy, what are you doing? There we go. Ralphie, you say this is your favorite video to wake up to. Well, Ralphie, I'm glad that you're enjoying this. I think many of us are. Oh, that was not very graceful, but he's down at least, and he's not going to be injured from that. He's not as good as a leopard dismount, that's for sure, but he's still done the job. Now I'm going to just reposition a little bit, because I want to be able to actually see him properly from where we are. I think let's go around. Maybe this side is going to be okay here. So Sky, you say the one thing about lions climbing a tree is that clearly leopards are not safe from lions, and well, yes and no. So in a tree like this, a leopard surely, well, would have been able to go right up into the small branches of the tree. Because a leopard is so much lighter than the male lion, it can get into places where the lion just wouldn't be able to go. The branches would start to break if a lion went that area. And as you saw there, lions are quite tentative when they climb. They kind of try and put their foot down and test things, and so they wouldn't go after a leopard. And the thing is about it is that they want the meat. They don't want the leopard itself. They rather kind of leave the leopard up in the high part of the tree, grab the meat, and then come down and feel more comfortable on the ground itself. But in saying that, if a leopard can't get to a smaller branch, then they can still be grabbed in a tree. Right, well, our lion is down. He's going to demolish what is left of that little baby antelope, and so we're going to leave our action broadcast for now. If anything else starts to happen, we will certainly get back on it. So it's been an absolute pleasure to have all of you with us, and I hope that we will see you on a safari in the next few minutes and days and coming weeks as well. Right, now that Tinyo is down and we've finished our action broadcast, we will send you all the way back to the Masai Mara and to Ralph, who I think is
out. It would make a lovely soft cushioned bed, and this particular jackal just gave us a little show. He stood up, he did a full stretch, and then, well, it seems it's been a real poo morning for me, because the hyenas were also at it, and he had a very big poo himself, and now he's just gone back to catching some shut-eye. But put his head up again. There was a vehicle that just passed us. So very alert. In French called a Jackal du Chabrac. And that's obviously also due to the black back that they have. Very distinguishable markings that the black-backed jackal has. And I always am fascinated by cats and dogs when they stand up after a long sleep and they stretch their entire body in that real to the back quarters, and from that position then they're almost ready to go into full sprint. Now there you can still see them stretching a little bit, but that's what they do every single time that they stand up after a sleep, and immediately after that they could launch into full stride. And so it's very important that stretching and before putting all their muscles under strain. Oh, that looked like there was quite a big parasite moving around on its neck. Either that or it was just a beetle. But that looks very comfortable indeed, that elephant cushioned bed. And yeah, I think if I was a little jackal, that would be the perfect bed for me. And he could probably even sit there and eat a little bit of insects while he's there. And in the background we can now see some of the taupi. You see that one at the back? It's probably a male doing his territorial thing, trying to keep the females within his little patch of grass. But they all seem like they're having none of it. Maybe he's not such a good-looking male. They look like they're off to that male there in the background. Yeah, we like his grass better than yours. So he'll have to go back to his grass and try and keep some females there. Yep, he looks very dejected, looking over towards the male that they're heading towards with jealousy, I would say. It's just a little bit of light-hearted humour, just trying to portray the what's going on in their mind. But yeah, also a nice Thompson's gazelle, a lovely set of horns, one a little bit skewer than the other, but a lovely set nonetheless. And it's very muddy, still quite wet. The sun hasn't really poked through to dry everything up, so all the animals are still really feeling the effects of the mud and the rain and the wet. But you can often find them quite energetic when it's cool and wet like this, because not hot and energy sapping, but eventually it does get a bit much with this clayey mud everywhere. And at least we haven't gotten stuck just yet. I'm nearly at the main road, so confident that we should be making it back to camp on time today. But still watching all the animals. Very often you can see them also collecting mud on their feet, like I do with my boots as it builds up. Now, Patrick, you want to know if I ever get lost in the Mara? Well, Patrick, it is reasonably difficult, especially on this side of the Mara River, because you can see there in the background very distinguishable landmarks of those Inselbergs, and we've got the Mara River as well, and then the Olololo escarpment. So it's quite easy just to stay between the Mara River and the Olololo escarpment. So if you ever think that you don't know where you are, you just need to look for one of those landmarks, and then it's quite easy. But on the other side of the river, where Taylor is, there is a lot easier to get lost or disorientated, and it does take a little bit more map reading and checking where you are. So on the other side, yes, I did find it quite difficult to find out exactly where I am. But that's the way of navigating, really. You just initially don't know where you are, but you use the map, you work out where's north, and then you check according to your landmarks, and then a couple of times after that, you know where everything is. The best is to start off getting lost, and then you find your way, and then you know the place. That's what I like doing when I go to a new place. Just drive around, get lost, and drive as many roads as possible. And by the end of it, you're up to speed quite quickly. And this is a lovely grey-crowned crane on its own. And so, while we're speaking of getting lost and beautiful crowned cranes, let's head you on down south to South Africa, to the beautiful Noel, who's not getting lost.
Thanks, Ralph. So we've had to give up the ghost on the Nkuhumas. The gremlins were attacking me a little bit in the area that we sort of cornered them down to, so unfortunately not this morning. So I'm over here on Chitwa, and I'm going to go and see if we can find Tesla, that little baby zebra she was hoping to see today, and see what else we can come up with. I haven't heard of anything thus far from any of the guides this side, but we haven't seen Hassana in a while. The last time we saw him was a few days ago, and he was on Chitwa with his Steenbok Hill. And also I'm hoping maybe Kachava pops up. I would really like to see if she's lactating. She should be lactating now. It's about time that she's dropped her cubbos. And then we're going to see if maybe we can find a nice big herd of elephants. Alright, now while I'm busy trying to do that, let's head back up to the side.
We're not having luck this morning. It's been very quiet, except the elephants have been obliging. It's not a massive herd. There's enough of them around here. It's actually the most elephants I've seen on the Masai Mara National Reserve in comparison to, well, all the elephants that we see on the other side of the reserve. And basically, my plan is, and has been, is to drive to every sort of peak and then take my binoculars out and scan around and see if we can find anything. And there's actually lots and lots of elephants around, all moving through these sort of top sections where there's lots of these little woody plant species. And Craig and I were saying, why are there no animals around? And I don't think this area is particularly good for grazing. I mean, really lush and green. I'm not sure what type of grass species is predominantly growing here. There's lots of sedges though. And then all a bit. Little elephant. They're very precious, aren't they? To sit and watch them. But this herd doesn't actually want to have anything to do with us. I pulled off the road just slightly because it's nice and open here. And as soon as I did that, they actually started moving away from us. We won't follow them. We won't try and get around them because they've already shown that they are unhappy with us. Now, we went investigating. We're basically in the area where the Black Rock Pride should be. But they're not on their rocks. And then yesterday I was telling the story how I met this guide, and he said that they're just, moving to some other rocks. So I'm sitting on the peaks checking them. Because unfortunately, if we go down into some of those sort of valleys, I think we're going to have a few gremlins, and you won't see us. Our picture will disappear. So that's what we're having to do. But there really isn't any animals out here. So those poor cats are probably having to move huge distances, especially with those youngsters trying to find more food. The odd Tommy, the odd hartebeest every now and then. Otherwise, there's no buffalo, and for a big pride like the Black Rock Pride, And you'd imagine they need to catch something quite large. Warthogs are not really going to do them any good. Hey, elephants? This young bull just hanging at the back. He probably shouldn't be in this herd anymore. Hence him giving the main herd a bit of space. Just grazing slowly behind them. And they're all wet. You can see they're nice and dark this morning. That's just from the rain of last night. They haven't had any mud baths or anything like that just yet. Although that one at the back on the right, he looks like he's covered himself with a little bit of dust. You can see the sort of white coming through. Where did you find that sand? Oh, maybe he's drying. They will dry out fairly quickly as well. Very calm, peaceful. Hearing lots of rufous-naped larks this morning. They're all tweeting. But even in terms of bird life, other than seeing doves, lots of doves, a variety of species, that seems to be everything that's around. Oh, okay. Well, there's some more elephants coming up ahead. Let's see what these ones are doing. Maybe they'll be a little bit more happy with Chisia.